Hey guys, Matty here from BBQ, and today we're going to cook one of my favourite things to eat, lamb ribs. These things are fatty, they're juicy, they're crispy, and they're just full of flavour. I love using a kettle to cook these things because what we can do is we can set up two zones. We can have a really hot zone in the middle, and then we can have an indirect zone around the outside. So imagine a clock face. We're going to lay these lamb ribs individually around like a clock face. Okay, so the reason I love these kettles are they're very, very simple and you get some maximum heat out of them. So we're gonna open those vents nice and wide, which gives us maximum oxygen in, keep those coals nice and hot. And then we've got a little vent at the top, which will open up as well. So we're just gonna have a whole bunch of air rushing through. We're gonna get a nice rendered, juicy, crispy lamb rib to have. Okay, so we've got our lamb ribs here. These are still in one piece, so when you go to the butcher's, you can ask for a lamb flap or some lamb ribs. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to separate these into individual ribs because there is a lot of fat in these guys and I want to get flavour all the way around, all right? So very simply, we're just going to turn them over and you can see where the meat is, you can see where the bones are, and I'm just going to cut right between the bones and just separate them individually. Straight down, through the middle. There's no need to remove a membrane or anything off the back here. It's not going to add to any eating pleasure. We just want to eat all of this thing. All right, so we got a few individual lamb ribs here, nice and easy. You can see that fat layer through there too, all right? So we're going to have to render that later on. All right, so we're going to go to our lamb rub, which is our ramrod. It's a herby type mix, salt and pepper in it, but some familiar flavours that you recognise with lamb. Just working one by one, rotate them so you get all the sides seasoned, even get the underside. It's especially important to bring the lamb up to room temperature. So go and put this in the kitchen somewhere in a nice shady spot. All right, leave it for about an hour. We'll go, in the meantime, we're gonna get some charcoal started. We're gonna set up the kettle and we're gonna get these bad boys nice and crispy. We're gonna opt for hot and fast with this one. We've got a high fat content cut here, so they're gonna benefit from some high heat. We're gonna smash them from all angles to render that fat down. And the fuel of choice today, we're gonna go for the briquettes in the heat bead range. The reason why I'm going to go for the briquettes is because I can pack these in nice and tight, which means there's no air gaps. The more fuel in there, the hotter it's going to get. And we're going to use our chimney starter. So this guy here is basically a vertical column. We're going to load this with all the briquettes. I'm going to use a couple of natural fire lighters. We're going to put it underneath, light those. And then what that's going to do is it's going to concentrate the heat in a vertical fashion. We're going to use a bit of cherry wood today, so it's a light smoke, it's a sweet smoke. I don't like over-smoked lamb, so we're gonna go for something nice and sweet, nice and light. We'll put that on top, put the lamb ribs around it, and we're gonna go for it. All right, so we're gonna get our briquettes. We're gonna fill this chimney starter up to the top. That's probably more than enough. I've got my natural fire lighters here, which I'm just going to put at the bottom here. And we'll start those and just pop that straight on the top. All right, so we're going to give these about 15 minutes or so. We'll come back, we'll check them out. They should be nice and ashed over and ready to go. All right, so just positioning the baskets in the middle as much as I can. And we're just going to pour these in now. Return the grill, and that's good to go. We've loaded that up now. Both baskets are chock-a-block with lit charcoal. We just put a little bit of cherry wood in there for some flavour, and now we're going to get the ribs and just place them around the clock face there. Right, it's time for the ribs. So as I said before, we're just going to use that indirect surface here. So we're not directly over the charcoal, which means we're less likely to burn, but we do need to keep an eye on these because there is a lot of energy in these briquettes, in these baskets. So I would say in about 15 or 20 minutes, we might lift the lid and just see how things are going and make sure that we're getting that kind of crispy crispy finish all the way around the ribs. Perfect amount too. All right, so there's our clock face. Charcoal in the center. So having the briquettes in the center means we're just gonna have a column of heat, which is gonna smash this lid here, and it's just gonna roll all the way around all four sides of those ribs, making sure we render at every point. They're gonna be crispy and they're gonna be beautiful. All the way open, vent, all the way open. All right, first phase is done. These have been absolutely smashed by high heat. We've got some good rendering and we've got some really good color. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap them in foil with some butter, and we're gonna make sure we get that beautiful texture all the way through. So once again, some good quality foil. Make sure you spend some money and get some nice thick foil. There's a sharp bone, so you don't want them sticking through, because if we lose our braising liquid, then we're not going to be doing what we set out to do. So, ribs in the middle of the foil. Get a few cubes of butter. I think we're probably going to use about 75 to 100 grams here of butter. So just wrap it up and make sure you close it off so none of the steam escapes. Don't push too hard because we don't want to force those bones through the foil. And that's pretty much it. Get our heat proofs on. Okay, now we've just got to modify the setup a little bit, just so we can accommodate the big pile of ribs. So I'm going to lift this up. We're finished with the wood now. Move that rack to the side and just push all of this over to one side. And then reinstate the rack. And then put our ribs all the way over to this side. So we've still got plenty of heat here, and we've got our little parcel here. So I'll come back in about 10 minutes and just rotate this to make sure that we're getting nice even heat around the parcel. And that's it. Okay, so we're about 15 minutes into the rib wrap now. So all we're gonna do is gonna lift the lid, turn that about 180 degrees, make sure we're getting heat all the way around, close the lid, come back in another 10 and check it. Okay, our ribs are all done. Beautiful texture, beautiful bark, heaps of flavour. At this point, if you wanted to add some sauce, go for it. I suggest you do. A little bit of butter over those. We'll come in with our meat juice, all-purpose barbecue sauce, and just okay, so there you have it. Barbecued lamb ribs. Crispy, juicy, and beautiful. Cheers.